to raise the like educational the budget for like all of Oregon pretty much. And that was like super inspiring for me to be able to do, and all of the people like the House Subcommittee of Education was like, they left their chairs and came out into the hallway and like shook my hand and like thanked me for coming like and speaking, because I was one of the only students that like wanted to go speak. And it was like a really like inspirational experience for me, because like they said that like what I had to say actually like mattered to them, because like I was in foster care and there was no counselor, there was no funds for a counselor, like no funds for a school nurse. It was just a really weird experience for me. Like I ended up having like a lot of anxiety, but then I got through it because I had a really good professional counselor that like the foster care system like hooked me up with, and she ended up changing my life and like just basically like inspiring me so much to just like go out and like change other people's perspectives. My situation's kind of weird. So I was only in foster care for 2 years. When I turned 15, I went into foster care. It should have been a lot sooner, but I ended up only going in when I was 15. You're technically able to stay in the foster care system until you're 21, and you can choose to drop your case like after you turn 18. And I was gonna stay until I was 21 to get all the help that they said they were gonna give me, because they said they were gonna help me with housing and help me with this and that, like food and then like insurance and all of that. And then like as soon as I like told them that I like couldn't afford to live at the dorms and I had somewhere else to stay, they're like, well, that's not gonna work. They're not of age and they're not approved. It was a really like rough transition period, going from like a free lifestyle where my parents just didn't care about my life at all and let me do whatever I want, to being completely controlled and owned by the state of Oregon. So like I had a really hard time adjusting, and that's why I had that like those counselors around that time, because like I was like acting out and rebelling and like, you know, just like I just did not like being controlled or anything. And so like I don't know, it took me a long time to like accept who I really was as a person. Well, I like to say that foster care was one of the best things that ever happened to me, because it took me away from a really bad situation, and I was sick of like couch living and like, because my parents were like terrible people. They were on a lot of drugs, and like I was just constantly surrounded by like violence and, you know, abuse and drugs. So I chose to go into foster care. That was my decision.
My mom kicked me out the last time.
She didn't agree with your lifestyle, or
we just don't get along. Like, she changed, and it's hard to word. Like, she said, I was like, oh, hey mom, my friend said this and this could be. I was like, hey mom, my friend said I could move in with her. I was thinking it was a good choice. Like, just, you know, talking about it, thinking about it, wanted her input. She's like, okay, well, maybe you should. And then I was like, well, I wasn't wanting to. Like, I wanted your opinion. And she was like, I went out, and she argued. We stopped. And then I went out for a night. And she's like, okay, well, you're moving with your family, because, like, pretty much I don't want you here.
What's it been like?
As a 19-year-old, it's hella hard. Like, there's guys, there's all these kind of worries. Like, you gotta watch over your back all the time.
So how quickly did you have to change your behavior?
I had to go from a good kid to, like, a bad kid instantly.
What's that done to your sense of self?
It's destroyed it. Honestly, like, it's horrible.
So you're really in transition.
I'm trying to get my life together and, like, figure out what to do. And then it's like, you hear people, like, the people you're staying with or something, you hear them talking, like, oh, like, I don't know how much longer I want her here, I don't know how much longer, try to get your life together and start over. Like, when you hear them talk, it just beats yourself down even more. Like, people don't actually see how hard it is, or like how hard you have to try. Like, I'm scared to like go and stay at the camps or something, because it's like, I don't know what could happen. Like, there's so many things that could go wrong.
What are you afraid of?
I'm just scared of like getting swooped, picked up, like taken somewhere. Like, 19, you're pretty defenseless. You get a man that's like big enough to overpower you, you're pretty much fucked. Like, it's all luck. That's how I put it. Anyways. It is. Like, honestly, like, I never admitted it, but it's terrifying. I don't listen to my heart. I listen to my head.
But what if you what if you made a map of what your heart, where it took you? What would your life look like?
I'd have a horse right now. I'd have a house. I'd have my own place. I'd have a horse. I'd have everything that, like, I wanted, like, the goals and everything. When I was a kid, like, looking and seeing all the homeless people, I'm just like, they don't have to be like that. You know, they don't have to be on the streets. They don't have to be begging for money. But it's like, now that I'm in the situation, it's like a full 360. It's like, damn, was I really that stupid? Was I really, like, that naive? These homeless people wouldn't be homeless. Me, I wouldn't be where I am. Like, people need to, like, there's so much people can do, but nobody's willing to change.
My recent episode of homelessness? Well, I've been homeless on and off since I was 14, so, I mean, some of it is my choice, some of it's situational, like, you know, getting kicked out, getting evicted, just up and having to leave someplace because the situation I'm in, or me personally, I just get really overwhelmed sometimes and need to escape and I guess start over.
What would lead you to that situation where you had to escape?
Well, I grew up in a biker family, not the respectable kind, and so I had to run around and hide my face a lot from those kind of people because I'm one of the first generations to escape that lifestyle. So that started it a lot when I was younger, I guess, and then being in the foster system, you know, you move place to place anyway, and being an angry little kid, you start a lot of fights, you get in the wrong kind of crowds. I was the only white girl in town for quite a while, so that started off a lot of things for me. Like after I graduated high school, just, you know, living with a boyfriend, getting kicked out, couch hopping on people's couches. I did a little bit of traveling. You have to act big and tough and bluster and make your way through it. You know, whether you have to walk big and talk big and act big to be safe or to get yourself out of a situation. You know, it's like I'm not an asshole and I don't mean to be a mean person sometimes, but you just there's I know there's a lesson in all of it. You know, you can't go through life being soft. You just can't do it. You know, don't let life make you bitter, but don't be a soft person.
How do you see the connection between having experienced foster care and having lived a homeless lifestyle? Can you explain that?
A lot of the situations in being a foster child and being homeless are the same. You know, you don't know what kind of people you're going to be around. You don't know who you're going to meet day to day. You don't know who's going to walk through your door or through your tent that you don't know. You don't know what situation's going to happen tomorrow. You don't know where your safety comes from, where your next meal comes from, if you're going to be safe that night, if you're going to be warm. One of the only differences between being homeless and being in foster care is you get the option to, sometimes when you're homeless, you get that option to go off and go to your own little area away from people where you can make your own little safety. And with being in a foster system, you don't have that. Like, you can't rely on anybody but yourself. Risks? I mean, being a single female, obviously that's the biggest risk there is. But, I mean, nowadays it doesn't really matter if you're a girl or a boy. It's all the same, worry. Especially if you're single. If you have a dog, you don't have to worry as much. But if you're just by yourself with a pack on your back, yeah, you got to worry all the time. You got to worry about what kind of neighborhood you walk into. You got to worry about what time of day it is when you're by yourself. Whether to sleep straight under a street light or in a tunnel. Like, you got to make your decisions based on where you're at and the vibe you get off the town and the people.
So what were some of the skills you picked up right away to survive that?
People reading and just vibes and situational like that. Gut instinct, I trust that 100%. I don't ever go against my gut feeling. Or at least I try really hard not to. the biker family, they had the clubhouse, and it's where all the men would meet. Um, and I was never supposed to go in there. I was never supposed to be at that house, and I went in there anyway one day because I got brought there for some reason. I was supposed to stay in the car, and I went in there, and I found out. That's when I found out what happens to women in a biker family. What actually happens, and the going-ons that little kids aren't supposed to know about.
So you're saying you witnessed it?
Yeah. Yeah, I walked into something I'll never forget in my life. And I don't know, part of me was drawn into that house, like I knew something was happening, but my gut was like, stay in the car, stay in the car, stay in the car, stay in the car, because it's dangerous.
But you don't feel safe.
No. Especially somebody giving me a code and this couple guys keep showing up around me, and I told this one guy to leave me alone, and he keeps telling me he's gonna kill me.
So you just don't feel safe at all.
No, I've had a couple people say they're gonna kill me. Can I get a cigarette from you? I don't mean to bother you.
Oh, it's alright, no worries.
If somebody could talk about like the differences being homeless as a man and homeless as a woman.
Oh, God.
So can you say anything about that?
Well, I mean, there's obviously more threat for women than there is men. I don't know why that is, actually. But, you know, sexual predators, there's a lot more. Like, people sit in the woods and watch the girls for days. And stalk. Like this last, probably 3 months ago, I had a guy from Wisconsin camp up on top of me. I didn't even know that he was there. And he ended up being wanted in Wisconsin. He got 44 years for that.
So how did you get out of that situation?
I didn't. I did not sleep at all. And I told the cops that I had a bad feeling about him. I didn't know that it was that bad. But that's common that the boys will just like sit in the woods and watch. Like if they're single girls especially. It's really creepy.
So what do you do to protect yourself?
I practice a lot of different kinds. I'm very tough. But I like my stick fighting best.
Yeah, I don't think like ability to fight is like a gender thing.
No.
But
to protect yourself, I think. Defense. But also sleep, like that's the poopy part of it. Because if you sleep, that's when they usually get you.
well, do you ever adjust your sleep schedule around that?
I don't. I like to go to sleep around 5 in the morning because usually they're long gone. I've only had like 3 there, but that's in 2 years, so that's not really that bad. But that guy was scary. I don't really group with anybody. Sometimes I'll come in and camp at the same spot, but never in the same camp really. Well, I think if we had to move out, like they're trying to get everybody out of the city, I think then I'd probably have to camp with people, or at least close to. But this way, like if I'm in city camping, then I always like try to set my spot within 10 minutes of a person that I know.
What keeps a person from giving up?
For me, honestly, absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. I'm just waiting for death at this point.
You're 26.
There's nothing else here. You're dealing with love. You're going to get hurt. Family, yeah, they'll love you unconditionally. Where are they at when you desperately need them, though? Your friends in general, people will turn their back on you in a minute. I find there's no point for anything anymore. There's no point in family, because wherever the hell they are. There's no point in friends because they're just gonna stab you in the back no matter what. There's no point in love because you're always gonna get hurt. I don't remember my childhood at all.
Can you go into that?
I was abused as a child, and a lot of my childhood memories I don't remember. I don't remember elementary school. I barely remember middle school.
How do you survive that?
Sure will. Willpower. That's why I'm away from people for the most part, because I don't want to deal with them. I'm the type of person that absorbs vibes and energies from other people and soak all of that until I'm able to get rid of it. And without giving it to everybody else, giving it back.
Have you ever thought of that as a talent?
I know it's a talent, but I don't want to deal with everybody, so I don't deal with it.
You get overloaded really easily.
Yes, I do.
What are your beliefs about family?
I don't feel like I've actually had a true family to know what that feels like. I mean, I was 5. My father raped me when I was 5. And I've been beaten, abused, and everything for 10 years. I was the only one that was getting hurt.
Just because of being too much like your mother.
Being too much like my mom and being defiant and not wanting to listen. Who wants to listen if you're being hit anyway?
You're gonna lose either way.
Exactly. There's no point to anything anymore.
But what keeps you alive?
Not having the guts to kill myself.
Are you sure?
I wouldn't know how.
What if you could get all that love that you missed?
From where? There ain't nobody. We're all alone in this place. If it's not right here, it's in a fucking place doing the same damn thing. Astoria is home. I've never been homeless in any other place. Astoria is home. I really don't care if they think bad of me or because I'm homeless. Oh, she's a drug addict because she's homeless. You know what? Fuck you. I smoke pot. I don't do meth. I don't do heroin. And I don't drink beer. I drink vodka every once in a while, but that's once in a blue freaking moon. All drugs are going to have an effect on your health, even the ones that are fucking prescribed. I haven't taken my mental health medication for 3 weeks. Why? Because my doctor says this is the way I feel right now is normal. If it's normal, why the fuck am I taking medicine? If this is everything that's been going through my head is normal, I don't need no damn medicine. Fuck that.
Do you feel prescribers force it on you?
No, not necessarily. Some people say, yeah, you need your medication. You need to go back on it. No. If this is normal, if being depressed, having constant anxiety is all normal, fuck it. There's no point. We're all just here waiting to die. There's no point in life, there's no point in love, there's no point in anything. But I'm getting to the point where I don't need anybody in my life anymore. Fuck them. I've been through so much within the past 5 years since I've been out on the street. It's hard to handle myself. So I keep my distance from everybody.
My kids know what love is, and it's a mom that doesn't give up. I haven't lost my children. I walked away because it's better for them to be in a more stable environment than with someone that can't get over the pain that has been caused to her.
Is there a connection between having experienced foster care and being homeless?
You never have a home. You never had one. A person is a home. The person that's keeping you safe at the moment, that's your home. Home doesn't have a zip code. That's my home, because that's who I can count on.
So you've always...
Foster care, that was my grandpa's. That was supposed to be my home. My home was never safe, so what's the streets? There's more friends on the street. They'll feed you. They'll give you a cigarette. They'll give you a hug. They care. Your own family, they don't give a fuck. It's what have you done for me lately, and are you willing to suck my dick? No, I'm not. I'm worth more than that. I'll be back on my feet.
What's
I will survive this. I mean, I was 7 years old till I turned 18, and yeah, as long as I took the abuse, I was treated really well. I've done activism for RAIN, Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network. But sometimes you take care of others so long that you got to take care of yourself, and you don't even know if there's anything left of you after you've taken care of everyone else. Love never fails. Jesus won't fail. you don't give up on us, then no matter what you go through, shit, there's always worse you could have gone through. I learned that. People do give a crap. Sometimes it's not the ones, your mama, your daddy, your grandma, your grandpa, your aunt, your uncle. It's not those all the time. Sometimes it's that stranger on the street, a person that, why would they care? Well, they care because they know what you are, and they know what you can be. They give you a sleeping bag to keep warm at night. Miss Taloga right here, guys. You got a sleeping bag on the streets of Astoria.
All the things that God has created, all the things that we can't even understand or imagine, we're the only things that He created for Himself. We're the things that He loves the most. We're His children.
VHS is nothing.
We are
They're just a little robot.
the most beautiful thing in the world to God, and that's the most important thing in the world to be in the universe and the creation.
So you're aware of that danger when people are putting that out.
Oh, most definitely. And the one thing that taught me that was being on the streets. I didn't know that I had very little knowledge or training in energies at all until I ended up on the streets. And, you know, I've said for many years, I'm not scared of animals. Take me out in the wilderness, I'm not scared of bears, I'm not scared of cougars, I'm not scared of anything like that. I'm scared of people. I'm not being treated, my constitutional rights are broken every single day.
I mean, it's kind of
I don't have the right to do anything but to keep silent and give my name. You know, and people will say, when a cop asks you, when a cop stops you, and you're supposed to go through the list of, am I being detained? When you have a service animal, when you have a dog, the last thing you're thinking about is, how am I going to stand up for myself? People have cameras. They could be like watching, going, oh, that cop's not supposed to be harassing her like that. She's not doing anything wrong. That's what it comes down to, is that I see people filming all the time. You know, it's not about me, unless they're on the phone with the cops telling them to come talk to me. I don't know what's going on. It's a madhouse. Nothing makes sense. And I'm not sure if it's just because everything that's like, I'm up against the wall, my back is up against the wall so hard, and been for so years of daily with my back up against the wall, that I want to cry out asylum. When I see the look on the cop's face, they're so happy to be asserting themselves and their power over me, knowing that they could help, but they're not going to, because they got direct orders that they can have a field day with us, apparently. I don't know. I'm not a cop.
How much abuse do you see on the street from authorities?
Oh, it's all the time. What people have been saying about, look at how they treat African Americans, black people, Black Lives Matter. I support it, because I say, you know what, when you're on the streets, it's just as bad. It don't matter what color. If you're a female, even worse. That's the ultimate card, is being a homeless female. A female versus like a black man on the streets. You're basically right there with them. Like, hey man, we're in the same boat. Don't matter our color at this point, just because I'm a female. A lot of times when you're helping somebody, sometimes it's best, you know, to ask them what will help, because some people have it in their minds that they're like, oh, I'm going to help you, and they get your ideas on like what you think, what you need, and then they want to help you what they feel is going to help. They're like, oh, well, I've heard you, but I think, you know, this is in the better interest of all groups, meaning the helping side, the side that's trying to help, and then the side that needs to help. That is a big issue. A lot of times it's all, well, I'm going to take you to my house, and now because it's a bribe. Like, I'll help you, but you just got to do things for me in order, and it ends up being a trap. So they end up trapping you with the trap. Right, and it's like, help people the way, like, it's if we really listen to the person, we can all help. Yeah, I'm helping you the way I think
you need this.
Yeah, what I think you need. Do you at least made an attempt to talk to them, to see how their day was going, to engage with them, just to make sure that they know. Because sometimes when we are searching, trying to find firm ground, trying to have firm ground to stand on, sometimes if somebody just talks to us, that lets us know that we're still alive. That's that one factor that can make or break somebody. Yeah, so that's like, okay, because sometimes you walk around and you're like, wait, have I died? Am I dead? And I don't even know it because nobody's talking to me. Nobody's asking me if anything's okay. I'm crying and nobody gives a crap. What's going on? Am I dead? You brought me back from that dark place I was headed straight for, running at full speed, head for this dark place because I just want to break down. Like, I think I'm dead. I don't think anyone actually notices that I'm alive anymore.
You gotta have a set of rules, man. You can't just act any way you want to act out here, man. Most of the time you find me off by myself. I don't really hang out with everybody because they always end up getting drunk and stupid. I've been around with so many people that people are mostly a disappointment. Oh man, they work hard at it, man. Yeah. Well, I mean, you look what's going on, man. You're out here protesting that stuff with the kids. I understand that, and I fully support it. You don't take people's families from them. That's bullshit. Fuck you and your laws. I'm sorry. But you just don't do that, man. That's not meant to be. You don't. Not unless it's an abusive thing, I mean. But don't be tearing families apart, goddamn. You want this? All this shit out here, this is from families being torn apart, and people not being raised properly, and besides the mental issues, and you know what I mean. Some of them have mental issues. They just live this way because that's what they do. You know what I mean. But there's other people out here just because of the way they were raised and brought up and been the shit they've been through. This is where they ended up. Yeah, well, I mean, you look what's going on. Everybody's bitching about this, that, and the other thing, and they're all trying to do something about it, but nobody's really trying to do that fucking much for the homeless. Yeah, they talk a good game. They talk a good game, but do you think about some of the shit they do and the shit they send to other countries and shit instead of taking care of their shit at home? No, they don't. You know what these people need to do? I mean, if they're serious about really wanting to know what it's like to be homeless, try it. Drop all your shit. Get the fuck on out here and live by your wits. Life works out for some people, and for some people it just don't. You have to find your circle of people and make it family. And make family supposed to mean something. And when I was younger, I didn't understand that. I found out too late what family means now that I ain't got any. Now it's the family you get to build yourself. Yeah. Yeah, if they want to see what our world's like, come out here and spend a couple months being that world. Then you'll know. It's just like I used to say about prison guards. They should have to do a 2 or 3 month sentence in prison. 2 or 3 months in there as an inmate, let anybody know before they decide to become a correctional officer. Yeah. See what it's really like to be an inmate. And then they're going to realize what it's really like in there for the inmates. Then they should decide whether or not they want to become a correctional officer after they get treated by their own fucking people like shit. Man, I know plenty of people that do drugs like a son of a bitch and still hold a job, still pay their bills. It's not just any one thing. Mostly it's a combination of things, I think, for everybody. Except for the people that have the mental disabilities. Yeah, a lot of them are. And a lot of them are on the streets and don't want to be anywhere but on the streets. So there's nothing you can do for them. It's kind of like an inmate that's institutionalized. They've been on the streets so long they don't want it. The other world's foreign to them. And the pressure, the responsibility, having to pay bills, having to work, having to do this, it's just too much for them. They're just not built that way.
I've been living in the woods, actually. My family has encouraged me to stop living out in the woods and being by myself. I'm just trying to make a go of it.
What are your family's concerns?
Well, my safety, I guess, mostly. I just, I don't know. I don't do people too good, So I am gonna go to an appointment today with behavioral health and see if they can help me a little bit. So I mean, I've had my issues for so long, but I don't know. I'd be better alone, and so I I've been sleeping in tents and whatever for a lot of years, and my sister gave me a trailer, and this old truck, it barely pulls it, but it does, and I'm grateful for this, I slept in this for a long time too.
What would it take to make your future more secure? What do you want to happen?
I want to figure out how to make the demons in my mind stop, and then maybe I can be around people better. I always worked, and then even though I still have those issues, I managed them, and then I had a person kind of began to stalk me, and then he broke into my home and attacked me, and ever since then I just kind of went off the radar. At any rate, I don't want to be alone all the rest of my life, so I'm trying to make this work.
Yeah, you're allowed to self-medicate. Jesus, it's your own goddamn body.
Do you think people get kind of stuck in this kind of like downward spiral with like self-medication?
Yeah. Indeed. I don't know, man. It was like kind of just like in my nature to be an alcoholic, I suppose.
What is?
I was able to go to the bar when I was 16 at certain points, and like, I don't know. My grandpa always has the best of liquors. It's the most stable for me, honestly. But it hurts. It hurts. I mean, I don't like to dry heave every morning. I don't like to take 3 shits a day, but it hurts.
And withdrawal gets worse over time.
I know. Sometimes I hold a sign, and it's like I'm like trying to like use a piece of sandpaper on something, dude. Like the fucking like I can't. I don't know. It's a rough one though,
What does alcohol give you that you wouldn't have?
You know what I'm happy about with Oregon is that weed is cheaper than this beer. I can get a gram of weed cheaper than I can get this beer. And I think that really, honestly, helps balance it out a little bit. Because I used to be a lot worse than what I am now.
Oh, boy, drinking is drinking. I can drink, I can drink and, like, I'm the same. You know what I mean? When I can drink alcohol, and I'm the same when I drink as when I'm sober. My first 2 run-ins with the cops didn't go so well because I was used to Portland cops where they're just jerks and they want to fucking take you out on a deserted road and beat the hell out of you and take you to the jail, whatever. It's way different. In Portland, when I got took to detox in Portland, I was being a little bit of a jerk, but they would park all the way over in the corner. You know where Hooper Detox is in Portland? They park all the way over in the corner. I'd be hobbled, handcuffed, and hobbled. They picked me up out of the car like a suitcase, dropped me on the deck, and then dragged me face first across the parking lot to the door. My whole blood be pouring down my face. They'd be like, oh, he fell. In Portland, being drunk and you ain't got no warrants, they can take you to detox if you've been drinking. They don't take you to jail like they do here. They take you to detox.
Well, you know,
The
here,
cops will be jerks, and they'll drag your face all the way across the parking lot to get you to the door to take you in, blood pouring down your face. They're like, oh, he tripped and fell. That's how cops is in Portland.
well, people detox in the jail here.
Exactly. They take you to jail. They cite you and release you here. If you ain't got a warrant here, but if you've been drinking, they'll take you to jail. They call it a cite and release because you've been drinking. And then they hold you until you blow, and then you get out. I'd rather do detox than a cite and release from the jail for being drunk. Because they can hold you. I've had this jail hold me for 23 and a half hours before on a cite and release for being drunk.
Did you get any withdrawal in that time?
No, this was like years ago, before I started drinking as much as I did, and I've actually been cutting back. So, yeah.
What would happen if you quit drinking now?
Oh, I don't quit drinking. I just wean myself down.
You know when you're kind of in danger.
Oh yeah. This jail's held me for like 18 hours. The last time I was supposed to do 5 days. I was in jail 18 hours. They woke me up the next morning. They said, roll up, you're being released. I said, I got 5 days. Credit for time served. Roll up, you're being released. They kicked me out after 18 hours. I told them, I was like, I want to be sick. I didn't puke in the jail. I don't know how the hell I did. I didn't eat nothing or drink nothing. But I was in there, water, nothing. I made it 20 feet outside the jail door and left a puddle like this. It looked like thick, syrupy Mountain Dew. But this was like 8 o'clock in the morning or something. It's like, they're selling beer. I was like, I was from the jail. I was like, I gotta head up to the table. I gotta find somebody. I need to get a beer in me. I need to get well. It was like a year and a half ago.
It's probably a liability to have you in the jail for too long.
I didn't want to keep me in there.
I make sure before the stores are closed, I always have enough.
You gotta plan ahead.
I always have enough. I always make sure. Look, I woke up this morning and I still had this. I haven't gone to the store yet. You know, I bought 3 last night. Okay, and that's what I got left out of 3. So I make sure I have what I need in the morning. Sometimes being cold and wet, you know, I panhandle all the time. Okay, that's how I make my living. I panhandle. I have to, because I can't work. My legs are gone. I got neuropathy on both my legs. I can barely walk. You know. Well, I lost my food stamp card the other day, about a week ago, and I've been too freaking lazy to go down and reapply for it. So I've been paying for my food out of the cash I had. But would people understand what it's like? I don't know. I think living on the street sucks. You know? You live in door jams, you live under the sidewalks, and you gotta get harassed by the cops. You know, they run you out, whatever. They make you pour your beer out.
So you lose your beer.
Yeah. But you know what? When you have no money in your pocket, and it's the last beer, and you're sick, and they don't understand that. You know? They don't understand that this is my medicine.
But you like this group of people.
They left?
Yeah, I go around with my friends.
Marcy and...
Yeah, I know.
I like
You guys will drink a few more beers.
cool people and weed.
No, we got something else.
There seems to be a lot of both.
Shut up, Nicky.
Yep.
Whoa.
It's lit. Yeah, I mean, it's bound to happen.
Do you have any peers your own age who've been affected by any other substances?
Hella.
We need to talk about this.
Hey, I camped
Like
out
what, for example?
with 3 bags. We got so fucking drunk.
I've lost a lot of friends.
The Greyhound.
Not like
last year,
to
but
death.
the year before.
I mean,
I stayed in a
death
parking
inside
lot all night. Everybody told me I could run as far as Seattle.
like living and suffering due to
No one fucking with me. I slept in the middle of a parking lot.
negative energy.
With my house full of shit,
Associated
another
with
backpack full of shit,
Bad people.
and like
Mean-spirited people.
Gatorade bottles all around me full of
You are
booze.
including
And no one
substance use in that?
fucked with me.
It can have an effect. Yeah.
Why do people turn
Sorry, I got
into
my
that?
mind on something else.
Because they are in a bad place in their head, in their life, or there's something causing them to destroy themselves.
What'd you like to mind on?
I mean, I think anything you do a lot can have a damaging effect. But
Yeah.
Oh yeah, y'all getting my
But what has been
up?
what has it been like losing those friends?
One beer a day.
Bad situations, but I had
One beer a
solutions
day?
for, other people.
We don't
Keep me
steal,
company,
we
so.
plunder.
To be honest with you, I'm a recovering drug addict, obviously. I've been sober for over 5 months. I was homeless on the streets for 10 years. I'm 26. And to be honest with you, the policemen, they're not very nice to homeless people. They would rip up my tent, cut up my tent, take my stuff, rather than help you find somewhere to go, like this place. And I just got tired of it. I mean, I have family, all my family lives here, but of course, my addiction, they're not going to want to help me when I'm not willing to help myself, and I'm just ready for a change.
What's keeping you going?
Until I know. I'm scared. Like, I was born and raised here. The only 2 times I've ever left Clatsop County was to go to treatment. And I was petrified. I'm comfortable here. I feel safe here, It's my home.
It goes back to community, what you call family. How do you define family?
People that genuinely care and love you and are here to help you, support you.
So what was wrong at age 16 that you had to leave your home?
I just wanted to. My first son is 6. I met his father at 14. We were together for 10 years. And I honestly just chose him over my family. I started drinking, smoking weed at 14, so it was just something new, and I started, and then it became an everyday thing. I needed it to even cope with life, and then I was so mad at myself and miserable and depressed that I chose this boy over my family, and that I didn't know how to change my life, so I used to numb my pain.
What's the future hold for you?
Well, hopefully I'm gonna complete this program. There's other things that they're doing, like for aftercare, like once I complete the program, like with housing and stuff like that. I just had a baby Sunday. Yeah, he's the newest addition to my family. I just want to be a sober and present parent. I have 4 kids altogether, including my 2 stepdaughters. And I just want to be the best that I can be for my children. I had a really rough life growing up, and instead of embracing the things I went through and having them teach me lessons, I just followed in my parents' footsteps.
It went down the wrong road. I dropped out of school at 8th grade. I don't have an education. I'd like to get my education. This place helps me with that. I've never been independent. I've always relied on my parents. And I just wanted to be independent. Be sober as a parent to my own kids.
And only you can do that.
Yep.
You're the best parent they can have, so
That's why I'm here.
they
So,
need you.
I've done a lot of wrong in my life, and I just want to make up for it. And especially being a recovering drug addict, I battle my addiction every day. So on top of that, I started at a young age. I never really grew up. I partied my whole life. I let fear hold me back a lot. My addiction, and that's something that I'm working on is how to overcome my fear. Everybody keeps telling me, "What is there to fear? That you're going to fail and have to try again?" And I just feel like I was in my addiction for 10 years and homeless, and I failed for so many years at trying to change my life. I just couldn't do it myself. That I'm scared to fail.
How do you feel about taking medication?
At first I felt like I can go without it because I can lose weight a lot quicker because I was like, and as soon as I stopped taking it, one time that was before I went to jail, and I was like off my medication, and I was just had a bunch of energy before I stopped taking my medication, and then I started getting all this energy all of a sudden. But I realized that that my side effects just started coming back. I was getting episodes and stuff, like thinking that there's people when I was walking in the trail, that there's people off to the side of the trail like talking and bad about me and stuff like that. Like the reason I went. I think I was when I got arrested. I was in my room and I was like hearing that, and I got frustrated because I didn't want to hear anymore. And so I grabbed my skateboard or my guitar and I swung it around. I spun around and I let go of it, and it went through the window. And then the cops showed up and they arrested me, and I went to jail for like a year. When I'm on my skateboard, I don't really have that. It's like because I'm concentrating on what I'm doing on my skateboard, the maneuvers and stuff, and I'm not really I'm not paying attention to what those thoughts and stuff are in my head. But as soon as I got off my skateboard, I started like having like thinking there's people trying to like mess my life up or something like that. Yeah, they as soon as I went back to jail and then they started giving me the medication again, it kind of all those thoughts I was having out in the streets, it kind of went away. Whatever they put in the medication, it makes me not feel my natural energy. Like I can't maximize my energy, like my vibrations to feel like that energy throughout the whole day. Because I've been skateboarding since I was 10, and I was getting really good at it, and it's the funnest thing I ever got into. And so it's like the most the funnest thing I like to do in my life that it gives me enjoyment.
January of 2017, I was about 6 months cancer free at that point, but still working on getting my body back in shape. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of that getting back into shape was identifying my addictions and coming clean and withdrawing from the medications that they were giving me. I was taking large quantities of morphine sulfate tablets for the pain, 30 milligrams of Valium a day, oxycodones for breakthrough pain. That cancer that was in me, but it was eating up other stuff inside of me, and it hurt. And I came back to Astoria with catheter and everything. It was all, bedridden. So that whole time for me was detoxing from the drugs and getting my health back. I have an insatiable appetite to this day for morphine or any types of opiates. I was part of the heroin craze in the 80s in Portland. We used to call Old Town the tar pits. Here's the way that opiate medication works for me. I'm in pain most of the time. I was originally prescribed opiates for pain because I broke my neck. So I have a tolerance for opiates. I could take probably 50 milligrams of morphine right now. When it kicked in, I feel like Superman. It takes the pain away and I function. I was a functioning addict through prescribed opiates all pretty much the 90s and early 2000s. For me, the drugs are a non-issue. I take Bush Bar for my anxiety, and I smoke marijuana. So that's where I'm at now. I'm about 8 months off anti-opiates, and I'm feeling good,
What's your insight looking back at that period of your life? Like what opiates did for you?
A waste, an absolute I became an invalid. I used to walk around with a cane for many years, but I was caught up into the just being an invalid and taking my pills, and it sickens me. And I think of all. I had these little glimpses of creativity, and did some stuff with my music, did some stuff with my art, but I didn't go anywhere with it. Absolutely nowhere. I mean, I look at it right now as I'm 58 years old, and I haven't really gone anywhere in my life.
So I left a path of destruction behind me as far as DHS goes. When my case first opened up, I lied. I am clean, and I haven't used in a month. I pulled the wool over their eyes, and they believed me at first. Until they wanted me to give a UA. Let's just get that UA, then we can work on returning her to you. Now what? So I put it off. I just kept putting it off, And they caught on. They're not stupid. This isn't their first rodeo. But I had myself convinced that they were still convinced, eventually it was just lie after lie after lie, missing visits, letting them down, missing appointments, letting her down. So by the time I finally came around, there was just zero trust. There was zero trust, and I did that. Yep, I came back into this community homeless. I had a friend that put me up in a motel for a couple days, and that was all I had was a couple days.
And then what?
So I just got as high as I could, and then I slept under a sidewalk in Astoria for a couple nights. So I became homeless essentially overnight. I'd never been homeless before. I was 30. I was 30 years old, and I had a great management job that I'd had for 2.5 years. And I was let go because, well, I'll just say it. I was let go because I wouldn't have an affair with my general manager. I just wouldn't cross that line. So I was replaced by somebody who could. But at the time, my daughter and I were living in employment housing and manager housing where I worked, and we were given 48 hours to vacate. I had nowhere to go. But after that, it was just couch surfing, sleeping in my truck, sleeping in our storage unit a couple times. I think that the saddest thing I've ever heard is a little 3-year-old saying, "Mommy, it's cold." And I was crushed. It was a job that I had put my heart and soul into. And it was the first time in my life that I'd ever been proud of myself. And to just lose it like that was crushing. So my drug use went completely out of control at that point, which kept me homeless. So the homelessness was awful. It was awful with a child. It was awful without, after she was in foster care, not knowing where you're going to sleep from day to day. It wasn't until she was removed from my care, because we were living in a drug house at the time, or not living, but we had been staying in a drug house at the time. I think we had only been there for 2 days. When they came and removed her from my care, that's when I realized, when my eyes were opened, and I realized that she wasn't safe. I wasn't a safe person for her to be around. But the problem was, I liked the feeling of being high. I liked the drugs. I didn't want to stop. It made me feel carefree for the first time in my life. It made me feel like I didn't have to be afraid of people, of myself. I felt like I felt brave. I felt like Superman. I felt happy. That was probably the biggest thing, is that when I was high, I felt happy. I know now that it wasn't happiness. But that's the way I felt at the time. And I wanted so desperately to feel happy my whole life.
Just accepting things. And I guess the first thing was to accept the fact that Lottie was dead. And I didn't want to, Intellectually, I didn't know, yeah, she's gone, but I didn't want to accept it. The other side was getting over the stigma of being homeless. I thought, oh, no big deal, but once I got to thinking about it, it's kind of if you've never been homeless, there's some stigma attached. But then I've kind of adjusted to it now, to where I look at it as an alternative lifestyle for me. Once I've and this all comes back to acceptance. Acceptance of the fact that I can't drink, meaning that, and I'm lucky, is that I can't drink in a sense, not because I feel guilty or because I'm worried about what it's, the actions I've taken, but mentally it really fucks with me now. I mean, I can't, it takes me 5 days to get over the depression, and I hate that feeling, and towards the end, anytime I did drink for like more than a couple of days, I would have to go through DTs. So when I finally tried to stop drinking, I had to, it scared the shit out of me, Roger. My body, I had no control over it. And fuck, I'm lucky I didn't die, think about shit. And I had to do that quite a few times. Like I say, I was just depressed for a long time. And depressed where, nothing is good, man. Nothing sounds like fun. I don't necessarily ruminate on killing myself, but eating doesn't sound fun or good. Sleeping doesn't. Reading doesn't. Watching TV is boring. It's a horrible place to be. It's nowhere. So what happened between Lottie dying and now is kind of, I call it separating the wheat from the chaff. There's some people I don't hang around anymore. So what it comes down to, there's plenty of people that care about me, but I need to care about myself too. Intellectually, I can say to myself that even though I miss Lottie and the companionship she gave, and stuff like that. It's actually one of the better things to happen to me, because I wouldn't have come onto this growth spurt.
But the grieving has to be processed first.
Yeah, I guess that's what happened too, is that I processed the grief. And like I say, there were times when just crying where it physically hurt. It was just an ache in my heart. And just not being able to stop it. And not really accepting, not believing that she was actually gone. When I was smoking weed and or drinking, I needed to do that. I wanted to do that. And so I did it. So I have no regrets that way. And I don't, if people are, if you feel like you need to drink, then that's your thing, So it's none of my business, except, the only thing I need to worry about is me. As I was going to say, towards the end, especially, Lottie was no fun to be around. She was dying. And that involved, like, vomiting blood. And all these signs that, one of the things, toward the end, most alcoholics that drink too much, their esophagus leaks out, and they have to have corrective surgery. And the body did that. And that was like the wake-up call. That was like, man, you keep on drinking from here, you're going to die. There's a lot of guilt, too, because I wish I would have done more for her. And being, this is a killer memory, because it still makes me feel sad to think of it. But I remember towards the end, she wanted to drink really bad. And so she was down on her hands and knees, looking underneath the couch for any, empty bottles, so that she could drain the drugs out of her. And it's just a sad thought. I felt so bad for her. And she didn't like that. She didn't like it any more than I did. You see what I mean? That's humanity. It's love. And to be witness to that, it's just... I don't know if it's a curse or a courtesy. It's a courtesy in the fact that it's an experience. And then there was a lot of, like I say, enmeshment. I'm the one that bought her last drink. I kind of facilitated, enabled her to drink herself to death. But she would pull the cards, man. She would trump me.
Well,
and at that time, I was drinking too, so it was like I wanted to drink too.
Right.
No, it was pretty sick, Roger. But it's also, it was an experience. It's what I did. So I don't regret it as far as that goes. At least I don't think I do. I mean, I have felt bad about it and guilty about it, but it was actually what we were doing together.